Wrestling is sometimes a story of balance, yin and yang, light and dark. For every Roman Reigns versus Jey Uso, there's a man throwing urine in another man's face. For every Hangman Page and Kenny Omega, there's a spooky Braun Strowman swamp doppelganger. It's true, not all wrestling storylines are created equal. And as 2020 draws to a close, let's take a look at 10 wrestling storylines that massively backfired this year. For the sake of clarity, these will be looking at storylines that had potential and went drastically south, rather than ones that sucked from the get-go, otherwise we'd be here forever. Before we jump in, don't forget to subscribe to WrestleTalk for more awesome content like this, as well as daily wrestling news videos and reviews. Now let's start with number 10, Charlotte Flair vs Rhea Ripley. When Charlotte Flair won the 2020 Women's Royal Rumble, many people, including me, groaned exasperatedly at the prospect of yet another Charlotte Flair inclusion in a WrestleMania title match, when the obvious winner should have been Shayna Baszler, who'd just been brought up to the main roster. But when Rhea Ripley made the challenge for the NXT Women's Championship to her on Raw, people were definitely intrigued. The hottest star at the time in NXT, facing arguably the most well-protected and most solid female big match performer in WWE, this had the potential to be fantastic, cementing Ripley as one of the next big stars in the company. But then the match happened, and while it was a very good match, arguably the best non-cinematic match across the two nights of WrestleMania 36, Charlotte made Rhea tap in the figure eight and proceeded to beat everyone in her path in NXT. Well, at least Rhea got her win back. Oh wait, no, sorry. Charlotte dropped the title to Io Shirai, with Io pinning Rhea in a triple threat. Charlotte cleaned her hands of NXT and went on much as she had before, leaving for surgery not long after. And Ripley's diminished star power was highlighted across the year, with her only just now starting to catch glimpses of the star that was there before. Number 9, Evil joins Bullet Club. When New Japan Pro Wrestling returned from their hiatus due to the pandemic, they stepped right into the New Japan Cup. Not many people foresaw Evil being the person to come out on top, but you know what? Yeah! Cool, a new potential top star. And then it all went off the rails. After he defeated Kazuchika Okada in the tournament final, he turned on Los Ingobernables de Japón and joined super edgy villain group Bullet Club, and defeated Tetsuya Naito for both the IWGP Heavyweight and IWGP Intercontinental Championships the next night. Wow! New Japan isn't known for doing these massive surprise moments very often, and while the matches with Okada and Naito weren't all that good, things could still get better. And then they didn't. Evil's run as a main eventer just didn't work. His excellent matches from years past didn't translate to his work as a heel, and constant outside interference took it down several pegs. This works for someone like Jay White, whose performances are much more nuanced, but when Evil just pushes the ref down and kicks his foe in the dick, nah, no good. Number 8, Brock Lesnar vs Ricochet. Much like all Saudi Arabia shows, this year's Super Showdown needed the big stars to come out to play. So come on down, Brock Lesnar, spin the wheel and find out who you'll be beating. The wheel this time landed on Ricochet, who at the time was under the wing of Paul Heyman, and who reportedly was looked at very favourably by him. Even though no one expected Ricochet to beat Lesnar for the WWE Championship, this could be a star-making performance for him, much like Lesnar's fantastic matches against AJ Styles and Daniel Bryan in years prior. But instead, Lesnar steamrolled Ricochet and beat him in 88 seconds. Ricochet was not a superhero, he was not fueled by determination, and he did not get over. This could have been great, but it wasn't, and Ricochet has never recovered from this, as evident by his loss to Riddick Moss for the 24/7 championship on the very next show. Number 7, Tessa Blanchard wins the Impact World Championship. For all of 2019, Tessa Blanchard was the most heavily pushed star in Impact Wrestling. It was clear the promotion was set to push her to the moon and make her the first female Impact World Champion in history. Unfortunately for the promotion, things didn't pan out as smoothly as they would have liked. Just days before her planned title win at January's Hard to Kill pay-per-view, reports emerged of Blanchard making extremely racist comments to other workers in the past. While she has passionately denied these comments, much of the shine was taken off of her win. It didn't get any easier for Impact after this, as Blanchard took the title and went home during the pandemic, refusing to return to work. As a result, the promotion stripped her of the title and fired her. What should have been a historic and fondly remembered moment for Impact became more of a tainted memory. Number 6. Jeff Hardy's a junkie. Hey, let's talk about drugs. Jeff Hardy's troubled past has been well documented, and thankfully, a tough 2019 forced Jeff to clean up and go to rehab. A touching series of videos hyped up Jeff Hardy's return to SmackDown after WrestleMania, but rather than giving him a warm welcome back, WWE chose to shove his substance abuse problems right in the limelight. Upon first glance, this rivalry with Sheamus seemed to be solid enough. Jeff Hardy's a good wrestler, Sheamus is a good wrestler. Together, they should have good matches, and to their credit, they did. The problem was in all of their other segments. Sheamus started off framing Hardy for drunk driving, charming story that, and fans were already tired of Sheamus constantly referring to Hardy as a junkie, but then things got worse. Sheamus had Hardy take a urine test in the ring, featuring that one meme doctor guy pretending to be an actual doctor. That's right, Hardy went behind a curtain, whipped out his swanton and produced a gigantic jar of stinky yellow liquid, and then he tossed his pee-pee in Sheamus's face. Welcome back from rehab, Jeff. Number 5. Otis wins Money in the Bank. The Climb the Corporate Ladder Money in the Bank match was a fun time if you wanted to point and laugh at what the funny wrestlers were doing, featuring the supposed death of both Rey Mysterio and Aleister Black. But don't worry, there was a smaller roof underneath. The men's side of things built to the crescendo of comedy character Otis winning the Money in the Bank contract by proxy in the biggest punchline of the night. For a few weeks, Otis lurked around Braun Strowman as a constant reminder of what could happen at any moment, and then, well, nothing happened. It seemed as if WWE came up with their funny joke to have Otis win the briefcase and then forgot he had to actually keep the briefcase. Otis practically disappeared from television for a time before starting a feud with The Miz and John Morrison. Fans were growing frustrated with Otis as they felt robbed of having a real Mr. Money in the Bank in 2020, especially considering it had been 5 years or more since we've seen the briefcase holder have an extended run with the gimmick. Plus, the Women's Money in the Bank match was actually competing for the Raw Women's title itself, so we didn't even get a briefcase holder on the women's side either. At Hell in a Cell in October, Otis lost his briefcase to The Miz, and WWE has practically swept the whole thing under the rug since, and Tucker even turned heel on him at the show. Did you forget? Because WWE sure did. Number 4. Seth Rollins vs Rey Mysterio in the never-ending feud. If you wanted to put together a feud that would have some classic matches, on paper Seth Rollins and Rey Mysterio would be near the top of this list. Rollins is still one of the best workers in WWE, and Mysterio's legendary status speaks for itself. When the two entered into a program the night after Money in the Bank, fans had every reason to be excited. So what went wrong? Well, in short, kind of everything. To ignite their rivalry, Rollins crushed Mysterio's eye in the corner of the ring steps. Okay, that's new and different, I'm into it. But then Mysterio returned to challenge Rollins to a match where you have to pull out your opponent's eye to win? Okay, that's a bit weird. And then they had the match, and Rollins somehow got Mysterio's eyeball out of his head by pushing it into the stairs again, and it was a CGI eyeball, and then Rollins was vomiting on the side. Okay, no, you've lost me. What followed was month after month of some sort of Seth Rollins and or Murphy versus Rey Mysterio and or Dominic Mysterio combination, which at least showcased Dominic's skill as an in-ring performer. Then it all got muddled again with the inclusion of Aaliyah Mysterio as Murphy's love interest, and then Murphy joined Rollins again, but only to betray him the following week, and then Murphy's part of the Mysterio family now, and then Seth Rollins sacrificed himself at Survivor Series for the greater good. It was a bit of a flat ending to what could have been a great 2-month feud. Number 3. The AEW Women's Division. It's hard to nail down one specific storyline in AEW's women's division that backfired this year, but while not every aspect of the division has been a disaster, it's been by far the weakest part of AEW, which goes against promises before the company's launch to have a top-tier women's division. Despite a difficult hand being dealt with the pandemic forcing some of their talent to be stranded overseas, there was a severe lack of focus on the remaining female wrestlers, with the women putting on solid but unremarkable short matches some weeks on Dynamite, while in other weeks the women's champion would be standing at ringside and wouldn't even be identified with a name bar or anything. It's only with the inclusion of NWA talent such as Thunder Rosa and Serena Deeb that the women's division has been given a little more focus, and even then it's been by far the least cared about and least booked division in the company. Number 2. Retribution. And the SmackDown hacker. No, Retribution. You didn't stand a chance. It should have been amazing. Take NXT stars Dominik Dijakovic, Dio Madden, Shane Thorne, Mia Yim and Mercedes Martinez? Yes, great, I like all of them. Put them all in a faction and have them invade the main roster? Cool, I like the sound of that. Make them all wear knockoff costumes of villains that they bought from the shop down the road? What? Change their names to T-Bar, Mace, Slapjack, Reckoning and Retaliation? No, wait, stop. Have them lose consistently since their debut and have absolutely none of their story beats make any beat of logical sense with plot holes undermining every single action they take? Why are you doing this to me, WWE? Despite their lackluster introduction with Molotov cocktails and cinder blocks through windows, there was hope that they would at least be pushed as a legitimate threat and taken somewhat seriously. But they weren't. They were made into an absolute laughingstock, and there was absolutely no recovery. Not even when Mustafa Ali joined the group and was revealed as their leader, and also the SmackDown Hacker, a character who'd been built up all summer, which led to precisely nothing. Great stuff, guys. Really knocked it out the park. And number 1, Goldberg vs The Fiend. I mean, could it really be anything else? The Fiend character, while not necessarily making for the best matches, was WWE's freshest and most unique character in years. Fans were drawn to the presentation of Bray Wyatt's newest creation, and despite some Seth Rollins-shaped speed bumps, it appeared as if he would enter WrestleMania 36 as Universal Champion to face Roman Reigns, playing off their history together. And then The Fiend hit a wall known as Goldberg. Their match was set for Super Showdown in Saudi Arabia because why not? Let's have Goldberg face the top champion. And despite The Fiend's constant no-selling of finishers up to that point, Goldberg beat him in 3 minutes, ending with a modified jackhammer. And when I say modified jackhammer, I mean a suplex. This was the most perfect example of WWE killing a potential new star in favour of relying on stars of the past. After all, Goldberg is a 53-year-old man, and Bray Wyatt is very much not. Goldberg ended up wrestling Braun Strowman at WrestleMania after Roman Reigns withdrew due to the pandemic, which Braun won and everyone went, some more. Goldberg and The Fiend did not interact at all after their match, but many fans still point to this match as WWE's worst decision of the year, and as we've seen, that covers a lot of ground. So that was our list of the 10 stories that massively backfired in 2020. Let us know your picks in the comments. Don't forget to subscribe to WrestleTalk for more lists, news videos, and reviews. Press the videos on screen to catch up with even more content and support us on Patreon. I've been Chopper Pete Quinnell. Jam that jam.